So we're joined from York, Pennsylvania, by the corporate catfish herself, Aliyah Jones. We thank you so much for taking some time today to tell about your amazing story that went viral all over the world, featured in numerous news outlets, Essence, Black Enterprise, Teen Vogue, so many places, and then even in other countries. I got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is our business law class. Recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, including my good friend April Majors over at Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, Madison Central High School, the Academic Options Center, and our fledgling, not near as big as yours, YouTube channel.
Thank you for having me. What's up, y'all?
Uh, Now, obviously, we want to tell the story of your amazing viral journey that led to millions of views all over the world. But just give us a little background because you had a interesting time growing up,
Yeah.
where like when me and you talked a couple weeks ago, I talked about we're a rural all black community, and that is nothing like where you grew up. So give us a little background about your upbringing and then kind of your decisions after high school that led you to kind of have the skill set you have and go on this journey to search for these type of careers.
Yeah, of course. So I was born in Philadelphia, but my mama, she didn't want me to live in that type of environment like how her and my dad was. So she moved us out of Philadelphia. So I went into the suburbs. And that was a very jarring experience. But my mama always made sure she took me to Philly every weekend during the week. Like, this is where you came from, but you weren't raised here, babes. And I was like, okay, cool. But during my experience in elementary school, middle school, and also high school, uh, it was interesting growing up. At first, I was like the only black girl in school. And my first experience in school was in second grade. This person, they didn't want to sit next to me. And I was like, oh, shoot, like, this is how they really get down right here. So, over time, during my time in school, I was getting people didn't want to sit next to me. I was told, oh, you're an orangutan, hard R. Like, it was bad. A lot of the stuff you could probably Google on like the schools I went to, and they've been on the news. But I kept it pushing. I always kept my head down. I was always in my books. I was always in the arts, clearly, because I'm very multifaceted. Um, and I just made sure I had good grades and I had a little bit of friends. But other than that, I was cool with everybody, but it was just like one of those things where I'm like, they're saying things that they're probably hearing from home. And so my mom always just told me, like, don't listen to them, like, da, da, da. So I'm just happy that I was brought up in a family environment where the things that I was told at school, I didn't really like affect me, except when I was in second grade. Because I'm like, dang, like, come on, y'all, like, I'm only like 5'8". Like, why y'all saying these things? But yeah, but over time, like I told you, definitely into the arts. I always took like a lot of video classes, a lot of art classes. I loved to paint. I loved coding. Like, I immersed myself in the arts completely, which made me want to apply to an art school in New York, which was Parsons New School of Design. And I actually applied for the fashion design program and product design as well. And that was it's a hard school to get into because, Marc Jacobs went there, and that was like my top school that I wanted to go to. I did apply to Howard, but I really wanted to go to Parsons. So I got in. I was like, yo, I got in. Like, this is crazy. Like, oh my gosh. But then New York is expensive. So
Oh, big time.
New York is so. She was talking to me like, here's some options. Like, I know you want to go to your dream school, but maybe you could go to community college and build up your credits and then go to your main college. And then I just opted into, at first I took a gap year because the college was expensive. And then I opted into going to community college briefly. Um, and going to community college, I'm not gonna lie, I was depressed because I'm like, dang, like I could have went to New York, like living it up, like go to fashion shows, being in the design program, all that. So I'm looking at everybody that I was supposed to, you know, go to class with, and they're like, shooting up, you know, going to all those events, and I'm just like, dang, like I'm at community college, like, but I enjoyed community college, but then, which I did take a lot of like photography classes there, and really honed in on all the skills that you guys probably saw, and just built, uh, and just started networking with a whole bunch of people while everybody was in New York. I was networking, um, with people in New York, the DMV, like just everywhere, so people know who I am. Just because I go to a community college don't mean like I don't have the skill set. So
There you go.
yeah, so then I opted into taking a certification program at my dream college too, but it was online. So I really locked in when it came to, you know, building 3D designs, product design, and all that types of stuff. So I got that, and then I just been hustling when it comes to like my own personal passions. Like I did have my own fashion line. I sketched out a lot of purses, so I kind of still fulfilling my dream when it comes to that, but also navigating and having fun with all my other passions like photography, video work, editing, coding, and helping other businesses and brands with that. Because some people, when people look at me, they're like, geez, she does a lot. But sometimes it's a blessing to have a lot of skill sets too. I just,
Big time.
yeah. And at first, growing up, I was like, dang, why am I get that I'm good at a lot of these things. And I know certain people that are like older than me, they're like, you got to stick to one thing. You got to stick to one thing. And it was kind of hard for me to stick to just one thing because I'm like, I kind of get bored. Like, I need to utilize my skill sets in
Yeah.
all ranges. So I've just been fortunate enough to, be able to use my skills in different avenues because it's a perfect example of using those skills and having different streams of income when you really think about it. So, yeah, so my family, they really helped me, you know, don't feel like you have to stick to one thing.
Yeah, and if you look at your website, your work speaks for itself. You have all types of creative things that you've done for companies. You've done all types of um, brand partnerships with national, internationally known companies where you're part of their content creation. But you mentioned the community college and certification route. It's getting more and more viable to get into fields that way.
Hmm.
However, a little over a year ago, you went viral all over the world with over several million views on TikTok, and I've shared your TikTok with some of them, and we'll have to make sure everybody follows you before we get done. But you were having some frustrations applying for jobs,
Yeah.
and you went out on a mission, secret undercover mission to expose a lot of things. Now, I will preface this by saying your alter ego also had some things that were not fair. And I think that's important because no matter who you are, these companies are going to nitpick. They're going to nitpick little things on applications. They're going to nitpick little things on resumes.
Yeah.
And they roll their eyes and get so upset when I nitpick these resumes here in class. But I'm like, I'm just doing what the people in corporate America are going to do. I'm trying to get it ready for when you get there. So tell us
Right.
about that, the corporate catfish journey, which, like we said, went ultra viral and put you in the national spotlight. So talk about how that works and some of the surprising, but like you said, not surprised, but also surprising stats that came out of this experiment.
Yeah, so fun story. So I had a really good job before I did this. And one day I woke up and I couldn't log into my computer. I'm like, yo, what's up? And then I get a call, and I don't know if they saw the video, but I got that voicemail, and they're like, "Hey, it's been nice knowing you, Aaliyah. Like, your services are done." Dang, like I just came from vacation, so I went down. I was depressed because I'm like, dang, I'm getting money. Like I'm trying to save up, buy my own house, and so I started applying to jobs heavy. It was a lot of jobs, and I would get interviews. I would make it to the final rounds of interviews, and then they would make it seem like I got the job. And then fast forward, I get an email maybe a couple days later, like, oh, you didn't get the job, Aaliyah, because of this. You didn't get the job because of that. All right, you need more experience. What do you mean I need more experience? Like, look at my portfolio with with certain jobs. I would apply to a lot of marketing jobs, like a lot of coding jobs. Um, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so it got to a point where I was sharing my grievances on like social media, like, yo, like, is it me? And I would have people look over my resume, and it's like, no, your resume is actually pretty good. Your portfolio is cool. Your website's cool. Like, I don't know. I'm like, can I do like a practice interviews just to see am I the problem? And I'm like, all right. So I had to get that out of my head, like, maybe I'm not the problem. So then I kept getting stood up at certain interviews too. And I was like, come on now, like now they're not being serious and I'm trying to be serious. Like I'm
That's
showing up on
that's
time.
that happens way more than you realize. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my gosh. So I got so sick of it. I'm like, you know what? Let me go undercover and see if my girl Emily could get the job. So I made the profile. She has the same resume as me. I changed the color a bit so people could be, if they have seen it before. I changed the color on the resume, but she had everything. She had the same thing. Everything on LinkedIn was the same. Built a little community too. And I was applying the jobs with her account and also my account too, the same
And
job.
it's important. This was a different color skin person.
Yes, Emily was white. She was a white lady. And I started applying to jobs. I started adding people on LinkedIn, and it was interesting the responses on like recruiters. I would send messages to recruiters. I wouldn't hear back, or they would say, "Oh, we're not hiring right now." But if I shoot the same message through her, oh, she gets quick responses. Oh, Emily, let me set up a little coffee chat so I can tell you the job description and you know, and I'm just like, I'm not surprised, but that's crazy that I just hit you up not even a couple days ago, but you gonna hit her up not even you didn't even let the message marinate. So that was jarring too. So every time I would log into my email, I would get rejections. But when I go log into Emily's email, yes, she has her own email. I still have it. And she's getting interviews with the jobs that I want. And it was just like it was definitely messing with me for all those months. And I kept score of everything. I applied to over like 300 plus jobs, but I was still, messaging people that were ignoring me, but they were talking to Emily. So talking to them. But then afterwards, I documented everything on video because I'm like, I want people to see this. Like, the differences on what is going on because a lot of people were complaining like I'm not getting a job, so I'm happy that I was able to document everything and screenshot everything, screenshot all the conversations, all the emails, all the things that they were requiring me to do, like because a lot of jobs they want you to do like
Yeah.
practice work or free work for them during your interviews.
Yeah, and
But
that's
with
actually not uncommon.
Yeah,
But
it's not.
with the way it worked for you when you documented this was very strange.
Yes. And with Emily, they're like, oh, you don't gotta do that. Your portfolio speaks for itself. Oh, okay, so she doesn't have to do all that, you know, extra work, but I do. It was bad. So then afterwards, after all the 8 months of dealing with that and dealing with everybody asking her to be on interviews, and I'm still showing up to my interviews getting rejected. I ended it because I was like, this is a lot. So I edited my video, I added all the data, everything, and then I posted it. I didn't think much of it. I didn't think much of it when I posted it. And I showed my mom beforehand because my mom, she was like, "Oh, you have to post it." I'm like, "I don't know, mom." Like, so I did. And then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, this is deep." A lot of people were messaging me. I was getting flooded in my emails. A lot of recruiters were pissed over at Emily's DMs, like, "You lied, da da da." Like, this is what you guys were doing this whole time. So I don't know why you're upset that this is being put out into the forefront. I was getting a lot of threats. I still get threats today in my DMs, my emails, getting docs just because I showcase this in video format. And this experiment has been done for many years, but I think it really hit home with a lot of people because they saw it visually.
Yeah.
Um, and it was definitely a jarring experience, but yeah, I get threats every day.
Now, you always hear people say, well, it's if you're black or if you're an immigrant or whatever, it's that much harder. And something that, I've sent several of them your TikTok, so a few of them have seen it. Something you said in one of your episodes, I thought was the one thing you said shook me more than anything. Is you said you were actually in one of the interviews and there was three different races of people that were interviewing you, and the one that gave you the hardest time was the black interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that experience because that's kind of something that has been stated by people, but obviously with me being on the outside looking in, it's never something that I've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about that issue because obviously people could just say, well, white people don't want black people in corporate America. And to an
Yeah,
extent, that's true, but that was not all the people that were rejecting.
yeah, which is definitely, oh, yeah, I could definitely talk about that. So I went to an interview in the DMV and I had talked to the recruiter. She was cool. Like, she was like, "Oh, you're going to get the job." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I drove down to the DMV. It's not too far. I'm only like 45 minutes away. Um, Drove down and just something in my gut was like, I don't know. Like, um, and I got there. And you know when you're like in a space where you're just like, I don't know, dog. Like I don't think I want to get the job, but I'm gonna keep pushing through because I need the job. So I get to the interview and I sat down. They were all late. Um, like 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by. I'm like, yo, where are they at? Like, you're wasting my time. But I need a job, y'all. so um so they get in, they tell me, yeah, we just got off a flight. Da, da, da. Like, I'm sorry. So I, reintroducing myself when they were in, kept coming into the meeting room. Um, so then they started asking me questions. The questions were very generic. Your background, why do you want to work here, etc. And the whole time, the black lady was not having it with me. I'm like, dang, like she don't really want me to have this job. And the one question that she had asked me in the interview was, well, your background is it's a little too diverse. Like I feel like, you know, it's just I don't think it might not. She basically just said, I don't think it's going to be a good fit because your background is a little too diverse for this particular role. It was a fashion buyer role for a sneaker company. Um, and I'm like, that's interesting because I feel like when it comes to my background, I feel like with those skill sets, it'll be easy for me to determine on making, you know, different different decisions on certain products to be on in the stores. And she was like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? So we were going back and forth because she basically just told me I stuck to one thing my entire life. So I don't know how you're able to have all these skill sets. And it got to the point where it was so bad, the other two people were like, well, my background is diverse. I have a background in graphic design, and that helps me, help with like picking out stuff for the stores and etc. and making style decisions, all types of things. So I'm so happy they chimed in because I'm like, am I crazy for saying that answer to her? So after they shut that down, she got really quiet like after that. And I'm like, wow, like we were really going tit for tat on all my answers, all my about me answers, all my skill set answers. And she was the one that gave me the hardest time. You could feel the energy in the room. I'm like, dang, like you don't want me to have the job, but all right. Because in that moment I felt like, all right, if I do get the job, she might feel possibly intimidated on me moving up faster in the company. And she's been in the same position for so long. And I had to really think like it's one of those types of things. And I was like, dang. So I walked out that interview defeated. I'm like, take me home. But I knew I had to drive home myself. So so I got home and I cried. I was really depressed. I'm like, oh my God, I could not find a freaking job. And then a couple days later, or a week later, I believe, I got the email saying I didn't get the job. So, but the recruiter was like, hey, if you ever see any other jobs. And I'm like, at this point, I'm turned off with this whole how that interview went. So I don't even
Yeah.
know.
And they're handing me some great questions, and we're about to get to those. But one thing that I wanted to mention,
Hmm.
and and I know I speak for the other teachers as well. These kids get so upset when they think I'm nitpicking them on being able to be prepared for an interview because it's hard enough. They're looking at you from the second you walk in that building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody has you on camera. Somebody's looking at the way you carry yourself. They're looking at
Hmm.
the way you talk. They're looking at the way you sit. They've
Hmm.
looked at that resume and see how you write. And and you documented this. There were even people that nitpicked Emily and said,
Hmm.
well, you don't have this right. We're not going to give you an interview. So
Yeah.
it is unbelievable how important it is to find a way to make people want to keep you there. And
Hmm.
look, and it's obvious you've proved it. It's an unfair game.
It is.
It's never going to be fair. It's never going to be right. But you have to do everything you can to make sure they see you. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about all of this with all your internet fame that you had. You were featured in national magazines, national news stories, all even in other countries. But it led you to start your own company, the Control Room, and also leading to possibly a full-length feature film documenting your experience. So, talk about what the Control Room does and kind of how this film is starting to come to life.
Yes, okay, so I'm gonna start with the control room. The control room is basically my own house of all my skill sets where people would need me when it comes to like creative direction with photo shoots, product design, when it comes to 3D designing for, other smaller businesses, for anybody that needs help when it comes to like building out sneakers or whatever product that you're trying to do, I could 3D design. And then also photo shoots and also videography and video editing, which a lot of people have saw with my videos. So it's just
Yeah,
basically a blended type of thing. And a lot of
yeah, and
people,
it is quite impressive.
thank you. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, they've been asking me for years, like, Leah, you really need to like build like your own little company, a little hub where it's like organized, where people could just come to you for certain things. And I was like, no, 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 let me do my own thing. I was the type like I don't like people telling me what to do. So I'll do it when I'm ready. So then after this whole debacle, that's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finally do it because I feel like a lot of the things that have transpired has circled back to me going back to doing all my skill sets and passions within this company, which has been a blessing because I'm like, wow, I should have done this a long time ago, but maybe this happened for a reason.
Yeah.
This happened for a reason because I didn't realize how much people needed my help when it comes to, doing photography, video, especially video editing and all that jazzy stuff. So,
Yeah, and I'll
yeah.
definitely get you in contact with our Academy of Multimedia we have here at Velma Jackson. One of only two in the state of Mississippi. So love to
Oh, wow.
get you in contact with her. And then, like we said, you've started the crowdfunding to fund this
Oh,
feature film.
yes, yes, yes. Oh, so that back to that one. So a lot of people were DMing me and emailing me about their own stories, and my stories is a penny of what a lot of people have dealt with in corporate spaces and have just kept silent all these years. And when they saw my video, it made me want to speak up more and use my voice because a lot of people, back in the day, they always, that saying when whatever stays in this house, whatever said in this house stays in this house. And a lot of people that have been reaching out to me, they grew up in that era. Um, so I got like flooded with like tens and thousands of stories from people that have been DMing me crazy stories. So I was like, it got to a point where I'm like, y'all heard my story. Let me give y'all a platform to share your stories because y'all been dealing with this for years. So basically, it took a lot of conversations because I was like, dang, like, do I really got to go through this again with all these threats? Like, with me building the documentary. So I decided to finally, a year later, I decided to do the extended version to give other people a platform to share their stories and also dive deep on the history of being Black in corporate spaces and how that, has been like integrated and, digging deeper instead of, so we're kind of like segueing it. I'm definitely going
Yeah,
to highlight
yeah,
my story, but
yeah, and it's not a fun conversation to have, but it's one that has to be had.
yes, yes. So, yeah, so I raised the money. Um, And I was like in shock when the money was raised. I just started the phase 1, which I raised money for the equipment. And I did a whole social media campaign with that, saying like, I don't know if y'all saw that too, where I was saying like, oh, it's on Netflix, oh, it's on Tubi,
Yeah,
and
that
a
was
lot of
funny.
people, a lot of people like, let me watch it, and I'm like, gotcha, Catfish, yeah. But I
Well,
raised the
it's going to
money.
be cool to see.
Yes, so I'm excited. I finally got the equipment, got my team, and now we're digging deep on like the research aspect of it, which I gotta do tomorrow. But yeah, we're still going, so
Yeah,
I'm
love it.
super excited. Yes.
Well, I do have some questions here. I'm gonna get to as many of these as I can, and these are not easy questions, but I'm glad they're thinking about this. This first one, she actually has two questions. This is Jasmine McBride. She's in 10th grade.
Hey,
One
John.
of our choir members wants to go to Georgia State University in Atlanta. Wants to be a psychotherapist, and
Hmm.
she asked, "Do you think by doing this in the future, you will create more opportunities for Black women?"
I believe so because I feel like a lot of people, um, like a lot of the older people that have been expressing like how much this needs to be talked about more because everybody's been so silent and so scared. So if I gotta be the person that, brings more awareness, I believe so because we shouldn't be in spaces where we have to dim our own light. So yeah, I believe it'll open up doors.
Awesome. Then she asked, "Did you expose any of the companies by name that denied you?"
I did. I did. On my website, on the Corporate Catfish website, it's like a very interactive website. So it's like there's Easter eggs. So when you log in on the accounts, you can see some of the companies and yeah, so you'll see something different. But I've written a couple articles on certain companies, especially with that interview that I had with the Black woman. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so everybody needs to subscribe to your Substack, so we'll definitely get that here at the end. I
Yeah.
like this one. This is Tyler Myers. He's in 11th grade, one of our football players here, and he asked, "What was the hardest part to hiding your true identity while being a catfish?"
Mm. That's a good question. I think the hardest part was not reacting to certain recruiters that were kikiing with Emily, where they were blatantly just ignoring my emails, ignoring my DMs on LinkedIn. It was just a very jarring experience seeing her DMs compared to mine with those
Wow.
same people. And that was very hurtful on like the conversations that we were having over here. And they're like, well, Leah, we don't want to talk to you. We don't want to talk to Emily. So seeing those conversations in the language, how different it is when it comes to them talking to a white woman compared to a black woman, yeah, there's a difference. There was definitely a significant difference.
All right, this is Shavaka Page. He's in 11th grade as well, one of our on our track team, and he asked, when all this started to blow up, and you knew you had the opportunity to do a Netflix or other type of special, did you ever think that all this would be as popular as it is?
No, because I didn't really, because I was posting on social media. I would post like every day, like here and there, but like I didn't really expect everybody to be like, geez, we really need to get this on Netflix, Tubi, like. And the funny thing is, a lot of people from those companies have reached out and was like, hey, like, let's set up a meeting and talk and, go over the
That's
details.
awesome.
So that was pretty, it was a lot to take in during that time because I wasn't expecting it. And it was around like Christmas time when I dropped everything. So like everybody was pissed on Christmas. So I wasn't expecting it at all. I
Love
really
it.
wasn't. Yeah.
I got time for two more. This is Shania Willis. She's in 10th grade, one of our basketball players, and on our track team as well. Wants to go to the military and be a tech person. So very talented. But she asked, during this process, were there any mistakes that you made that you think helped you grow as a professional?
Hmm. In what way? Could you
Just
answer
in
that?
the way that you carry the way you present yourself professionally.
Mm, no, I wouldn't say I know how to, when it comes to being in certain rooms, no, I don't believe so. But at the same time, a lot of people that I have connected with their stories, they have always been scared to just, be themselves. Of course, there's always a time and place, but to the point where you have to hide your identity, a lot of people have been dealing with like, dang, I can't even be myself in these spaces. Like, I want to be able to, just be myself overall. So no, I think a lot of people that I have talked to, they appreciated like how much I've been authentically myself. And however I do business when it comes to like my own businesses, I know how to conduct in a manner where, you know, I'm getting my
Awesome.
coin too.
I got one more. This is Zaire. She's in 11th grade. I'm sorry, 10th grade. She always looks at me crazy because I get her grade wrong. But newly elected State of Mississippi Technology and Student Association secretary wants to be also a mental health therapist at Mississippi State. But she asked, now that you've become a content creator and an influencer, was there a certain influencer, movie, or show that inspired you to do this specifically? And what projects have you wanted to try after this?
Mm, that's interesting. I really, I really love Issa Rae, of course. I love her to death. I love how she grew on YouTube and how the trajectory of her career. So I've always admired her. Um, but I didn't know I was gonna go down this route. It's just funny how the things that I used to do as a kid when it comes to like video editing and you know, I, I've always been on the interwebs for a long time, but it's funny how all the things, all my skill sets have circled back to doing stuff like this when it comes to like video stuff. And as far as projects after this, I know a lot of people ask me this question too. Um, I always say like, "Oh, this is gonna be my final film or whatever," but I really want, but I really love doing like fashion visuals because it's fun. I like doing fun things. Like this story is very dark, so
Yeah.
I like doing more lively, bright colored things. But yeah, hopefully more fashion visuals, maybe music videos, sports visuals.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us to
yeah.
have this hard conversation. But a couple things before we go. IamAliyahJones.com is the website. All of your links to your socials are at the bottom. Your Substack, your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn are all on there. Absolutely great follow. I encourage everybody to go back on your TikTok, look at the things you talk about. Not only does it show that you're a very talented storyteller, but it shows a very real issue, which leads me to the last thing I want to talk about is you just heard some of the dreams and goals of these young people I have here. And that was not even everybody. I just didn't have time to get to all of them. I've got a lot of
Mhm.
talent in here. I've got a lot of gifts. I've got a lot of ability. But at the end of the day, nobody, and this includes me, nobody can afford to get lazy or start becoming complacent because you think things are just going to happen. Nothing happens to you when you're sitting around. You have to be the one making the ball move. And like we said earlier, people are always looking and they're
Mhm.
looking for an
Mhm.
excuse to not bring you there. They're looking for an excuse to get rid of you. So
Mhm.
as these kids start getting through high school, start making decisions, you heard some of the things they want to do. Why do they always need to stay on the top of their game and know that, look, if I want things to happen, I've got to make people notice?
Mhm. Oh. Well, for starters, always be authentically yourself. Like what you just said, you never know who is watching you. The people that have reached out to me, I could never imagine that they would want to work with me. Just by me posting and being myself online, the good, the bad, the ugly that they might see, they still want to connect with a human being overall. You don't always have to be robotic. Don't be scared to show who you are online, whatever you're trying to do. Don't be afraid to speak up in spaces where if you have the knowledge, speak up. That other person might not have the knowledge if you are in those types of spaces, and it doesn't matter what type of space it is. It could be in the arts, military, or tech. If you know what you're talking about, let them know that you're that guy, you that girl. So
That's
that's
awesome.
my
Well, we thank you so much for joining us all the way from York, Pennsylvania, the corporate catfish herself, Aliyah Jones. We thank you so much for joining us today.
thank you guys.
All right, I will definitely talk to you soon.
All right. Take
See
care.
ya.